Welcome to Div Tech 101, aka Black Mental, as we discuss information technology, also known as IT. In today's episode, I wanted to kind of go through you with a little list of what you should do should you have an issue with your coax cable or this orange cable that is normally placed by Xfinity, oftentimes you're a telecommunication provider, into your yard for your internet and TV and phone service, of course. But on today's specific episode, this is an actual experience that I have went through and I have been going through for the last couple of weeks, going on about a month right now. And so I'm going to go over it with you from a technical perspective just to make sure that we're all like on the same page about everything. And so just keep in mind that what I'm going over today is strictly going to be some information that's going to be very beneficial to you. So just keep that in mind as we're going through and everything. So one of the very first things that you should do when you have a problem in your yard for the service that you have, and I'm going to steer this conversation directly towards Comcast because that's who I have had the issue with in regards to the cabling perspective that I have out in my yard. So this would be almost simultaneous with any other service provider that you have that has some type of direct burial cable of some sort at your residence. So one of the first things that you want to do is you want to make sure that you call Xfinity customer care and most definitely complain about the issue. Now, in regards to that, make sure that you're very courteous towards the customer care professionals, because oftentimes they are almost the gatekeepers in order to make sure that you get through to the respective parties that you need to contact in order to finish getting your service and everything complete. So make sure that you are very courteous with that and keep that in mind. Even though you may be pissed off that your service may be, kind of going crazy or the cabling may be on your yard, just make sure that you do treat them very nice and very well with that. So just keep that in mind as you're giving them a call because it's going to be very beneficial for you and will work in your best interest when you are contacting them. So one of the first things I would recommend that you do is you're going to definitely open up a search engine and you want to call and place a service call to Comcast customer care. So just pop open Google Chrome and just type in Comcast customer care. As you can see, the number is going to be highlighted there directly at the top. So make sure that you keep that in mind because you're going to need it. So just make sure you dial like this number right here that's there so that you can most definitely speak with one of the representatives as well. Oftentimes, some people kind of get roped up into an infinite loop or circle going through with the Xfinity Assistant, which can be a pain because oftentimes you'll get routed in a circle. And very few times, if you get the texting portion right and you do it correctly, they will ask you to input your number, and then that number will end up calling you so that way you're able to get in contact with Xfinity should you need to in that regard and everything. So most definitely keep that in mind as you're going through with that because that's going to be most definitely the best thing that you can absolutely do with that, okay? So please, please, please make sure that you're courteous in that regard with that, okay? So one of the next things that we want to do with that is we want to just make sure as we're going through this, I'm going to try to step through it piece by piece so that way you can follow along. So now you got the number to call them directly should you need to. And the next thing that you want to do is on that list is when you place that call for them and tell them in the support channel, direct burial issue, what you want to do with that is if you decide to do the part where you will do the texting portion in asking Xfinity customer care, whether if it's through the text portion or the online chat version. You can actually type in sometimes a direct statement, like for instance, cable burial. And by doing that, what that's going to do is going to open up the chat interface. As you notice up here where I have that selected at right there, you can see it. When you type that in and just click the play button there, that will as well take you to another window that's going to open up, that's going to have the chat burial information here. And it's going to be in like an automated response in a sense, but you very rarely reach a live person. But it sometimes, if you type in the right structure of words, it will guide you exactly to where you need to go in order to see the necessary information that you need in that regard. One of the next steps that you want to do, which will also happen when you submit the request, they will actually call the 8111. They will call it for you, but just to make sure that things are going accordingly, you can actually call the 8111 number. Now, depending on where you live, that number is going to be different. But for the state of Arkansas, in this region here, you can dial the 811 on your phone, and you can actually go into the Google search as well, and you will be able to see all the necessary information for the 811. This number is very important before you call or before you start digging, because if you do not call this number and something happens, you're going to get in a lot of trouble. So don't attempt to try and dig. Just make sure that you call this number from your cell phone. So definitely do that. That's why I marked those in red, because I wanted to be sure that we had that information. Okay. So if you go on here, it'll tell you exactly what state that you're, wherever you're in, and it will let you know or route you to the correct center appropriate for your state. Online requests are actually, there's an online request button that's there, so you will have that readily available for you. So just keep that in mind as you're going through the information. Now, one of the next steps that we want to do is we want to be sure that the type of cabling that we have, or that is more than likely on top of your yard, is probably going to be this orange looking cable. Now, this orange cable, you all, is going to be a little bit different, because what you want to keep in mind is that this cable is one that you do not want to accidentally hit, cut, run over, or some sort. Okay, so definitely keep that in mind as you're going through this. The reason why I say that, because oftentimes people will accidentally go through something, hit something, and next thing you know, that's going to be a little bit messed up for you there. So what I'm basically doing here now is just I'm going to just mark these out, so that way as we're going through the information that you will have it. Now, some of you may want to know exactly the very last step of, okay, hey, how do I get straight to the point? I want to do a video more of a tutorial than a complete bashing video, because I could be so critical and nasty with this episode in regards to bashing Comcast for the service that I got in regards to how they ran the cable. But I want to do more of a tutorial, because I want other people to be able to step through this. And so by me going through this from a technical perspective, I want to be able to provide you the step-by-steps. Now, one thing to kind of remember is not all cables are direct burial. Not all coax cables are direct burial. So we have to keep that in mind when dealing with this. I got some pictures in here that I will show you. Now, this orange cable you cannot miss whatsoever. This cable is going to be very, very crucial. So we want to make sure we most definitely that the type of cable that they have, more than likely, is probably going to be direct burial. It's going to be, definitely not going to break because of the soil and moisture. It's definitely gonna probably more than likely be a waterproof coax and the connectors and sealants and stuff like that, depending on how your yard is or whatever. But just keep that in mind with the cable, just to kind of give you like just a visual. Like I said, I have some actual pictures that I'll show you here in a second, but I want to kind of go over some of the cabling pictures with you, so that way you're able to see what cable that I am talking about. Now, simply over on Amazon, they have this type of cable that's similar to what I'm talking about. You can actually see some of the pictures of it here. I'm just looking at the orange cable perspective. I'm not necessarily looking at this particular cable or looking to buy this cable here, but I'm sure they get theirs from a dedicated distributor for that and everything. But as you can see here, like the kind of cable that I'm talking about, yeah, that's that orange cable. You cannot miss that in your yard. It's very, very hard to bend. The bend radius on that is like super small. But you can see just for like about 100 feet of this direct burial here in the color orange is about like $29.97 on Amazon. So if somebody wants to do it themselves, I'm sure they can probably see this here. Now you can see about in the about this item section, it tells you exactly how what this can withstand and everything. So you have that information there. So just take a look at it whenever you can. This is just kind of a visual of like some standard cabling here for your home, probably what you would see within the walls of your house. So more than likely, most of you are probably seeing this one here for your house. And then you're probably seeing for the one with the weather seal, maybe a little bit outside in a sense. And then that direct burial is going to be that orange one that you see there at the top. So just keep that in mind as you're looking out in your yard on the side of your house for that. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next portion of this here. Now, the conduit. Now, on the pictures, you're going to see where I'm talking about the cable depth and tape and everything like that. Looking at this, you all, I want to stress a point here. Looking at this, you can see from the pictures that I have up here, starting in your top left picture up there, you see where I actually marked the line that I want the cable to route because of the flower bed that's here. So the flower bed is, of course, going to be up here in that section above that horizontal line. But if you look real closely, you can see exactly where the cable was thrown at initially at first in the picture. So we'll get to that shortly in a second, but that was just a temporary run for the first technician. Then, of course, you will see in the second picture, we have more of where the line, was ran at. So, of course, you all can see that. There shouldn't be much I have to say about this part right here, because it's going to kind of be self-explanatory. But the white lines is what I went to the paint store to actually go and get and to have the lines marked. So I marked the path myself because I knew what was exactly going on in my yard. This is just a temporary run from the first technician. Some people I know that works in this industry that actually do the cable runs, they normally say if the ground crew member lays it out the first day, they come back within 24 hours and satisfy your request in burying the cable. Comcast, it took about 14 additional days for them to come through to see this particular piece of information here. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there so we all can see it. Looking at this picture right here, you can see at my residence, there is some lava rocks that I have out by the gate. North of that, on the top part of this picture, is my neighbor's yard. And then the south part would be my side of the fence. You can see the cabling right there down in the middle where the person attempted to try to bury it on top of the ground with the lava rocks. So that's definitely a no-go right there. Next step As you can see a little bit farther back, the cabling line is still there, invisible. Had my lava rocks not been there, this would have been laid on top of the ground. But I went out and inspected this line 100% about 150 to 200 feet. So you see what's going on there. So this is out now. Tap. You can see the cable. So this is out by the tap. Now, keep in mind, as we're looking at this, this was the initial run. I mean, just looking at just the piece of the video that you can see here, on the other side of the fence, you see the tap, you see it's exposed there, and the orange cable is dangling out on my neighbor's side of the yard there. So we definitely I want to make sure I call Comcast back to check that out. You can see down here, there's another part of the picture there with the cables. So we have that. And then the next piece of this puzzle here, if you look at this other picture down here on the outside of the house, you're going to see a couple things going on here. Now, don't worry about the black wiring there. That's just from the satellite dish that was never removed off my residence there. But what you would see, I know the flower bed's a bit like, out of whack, but that's okay though. I'll get to that once this line gets buried first. But right here, if you pay attention to the conduit that's right here, see how that's ran? This conduit is supposed to be attached to this little bracket right here on the side of the house. So exactly how the other pieces of conduit are for the electrical and the grounding and all that, the Comcast portion is supposed to be that way. And of course the red here, you see that that is an electrical line. So of course that wasn't crossed, or that this was laid of course on top of the ground, but this was incorrect right here about the on the way that that was done. So I want to make sure that that was crystal clear for you all too. Now, moving on to the next step here, we want to look at just a couple of the pictures here, you all. This is just me pulling the grass back just a little bit. You can see where that's headed. You can see the orange cable right there in the picture. So that's not hard to miss at all. Now, in this picture right here is going to be clear of what I'm pointing to in this picture. But before the first technician came to do the run again, he actually clipped the old wiring off. But you can see clearly right here, right there, that's supposed to be attached to the wall. And this was like a short video I just did. Maybe it wasn't even like a second that I had that on there. And of course, in our other video here, you can see the run. It goes down, conduit, slightly underground, and then to the fence. This was another portion that was probably buried a little bit deeper than the other parts of the yard. However, this was probably the deepest part. You can see it was still kind of exposed there. I pulled the soil back a little bit so that I can see, okay, this is how they could have done it, and I would have been okay. They would have done that throughout the rest of the yard, but that was not done that way. Now, this right here is one of the best pictures I really like. This is in my neighbor's yard, okay? So my neighbor's yard is, of course, that's not, shouldn't be there. But he has some other, like watering system back up in here. If you look at that really closely, see this cabling right here? That's not supposed to be like that. That's supposed to be tucked under in here, and that's supposed to be secured there. because all it takes is just for a kid, a dog, or something to grab this and move this and hit that there, and there goes your internet for your line. So just want to keep that and this right here at the bottom is an example of me just going through the cabling part. Now I kind of stripped the cable there just so you can see it, but it's very interesting. Just kind of take a look at this and you will see exactly what you should not do. Now this was a piece of cable that they actually left out in my yard, so I wasn't going to do too much with it, but you can see kind of I stripped one end of it right here, and just kind of pull that up just a bit there. Now aside from that, you can see another little snippet of a minute and 25-second video. That's me out there by the fence, pointing, showing you where it's going, coming from, and everything. And it goes all the way back to from the tap, 120 plus feet to the side of my house there. You can see that definitely still exposed. This whole portion of cabling right here should not be here, you all. This whole part right here should be up against the house, and it should be up against that right there. And it should enter into the ground about right here. And of course it should run out as I requested in front of the flower bed line, and then under. You can see this was like after the cable was buried the second time. You can see down here, there goes the cable right there. It's exposed still. And this is before the second group of technicians came out to try and help me service the equipment. And this was just a random part in the yard right here of where the cabling was. And you can see the guy didn't even attempt to try and bury this. This is so obvious right here. And so my recommendation is I actually called Comcast to see what their depth is as far as burying the cable. In our community in Arkansas, the code can be up to about 18 inches. I actually, during this video, I had gotten a call back from the city to be buried, so I'll definitely will give them a call back and probably do a follow-up video with this. But I just want to show you all of what I have here. So my concern is not with the service. The internet service is fine. My concern is with this type of cable being exposed this way, like this. My issue on that point is, what if my children decided to play with this and cut it or run over it, or my lawnmower clips it? I should not, under any circumstance, and you should not under any circumstances, have to go out in the yard and worry about running over a cable. I mean, you don't have to worry about running over an electrical line or a gas line, which I have those going through my backyard, and also a water line that I built out to the garden. You shouldn't have to worry about any of that. So I just want to do a video and show you real time exactly what I was seeing, what I was going through with that, and hopefully this will help someone else out, here, should they need to see this information and stuff. And so like I said, follow up with the list that I provided to you there. Make sure that you just go through, research everything, and hopefully we hit everything on today on this call. I want it to be a pointer and a learning opportunity and for the Comcast ground crew. So I hope that this message reaches someone in that area. Should anyone who works with Comcast, who is on the ground crew, please feel free to reach out to me. My information is on my YouTube channel. I'll be more than happy to love to have you on and just have a conversation to know from your perspective of what you think. When I asked the 4 technicians what their suggestion was and what I saw, they was like, hey, I wouldn't want this done in my yard. And so please feel free to reach out to me. I will love to have a conversation or challenge anyone that works with Comcast on the ground crew. I definitely would challenge any one of you to a conversation with this, just to get some more inside information, because I definitely don't want more customers having to go through what I went through. So respectfully, I would like this to be handled accordingly in the future, so that everything is all good. So like, listen, and subscribe to DivTech 101, aka Black Mantle. Look forward to talk with you soon, and look forward to bringing you the latest and greatest content. Talk to you guys soon.